All right, so our final review of the day is going to be for The Boys, season 4. The Boys, I think they said there would be one more season after this, just one more
Hmm.
plan, and that'll be the final season from the show. I think Eric Kripke said that, the series creator there. Now season 4 has dropped. The first 3 episodes dropped initially, and then they're going to be releasing them weekly after that. So far, 4 episodes have dropped since our time of this recording. So we're going to be discussing the first 4 episodes. If you have not seen those already, then tune back out, and then come back when you have, because we're going to get in a little bit of maybe some spoiler talk here, discussing the first 4 episodes of the series and kind of what's been going on so far, and also the past seasons as well. So if you have not seen The Boys, about what's going on, highly recommend it. I enjoy this series quite a bit. And if you have not seen it and think about interested in checking it out, I recommend checking it out. I recommend checking out seasons 1 through 3 in its entirety, and then get into season 4. But what is going on in season 4? What are the boys up to now? What's kind of going on in the world of the boys? Well, a huge political divide is being taken place. You see, if you remember at the end of last season, you see Homelander is becoming much more of a political figure now, much more of a Trumpian figure, as you can say here. And then some people are saying with this season, it's too political. Some people are saying it's too overtly political and too much, and delving too much into those things. So here it's getting into a lot of those things. Maybe I could say maybe even a little bit more so, I would say, than past seasons, just because you have the two now such distinct political parties here that very much mirror real life. Especially with the character of Firecracker, who the creators of the show already said is supposed to be a Marjorie Taylor Greene kind of insert. She's your conspiracy theorist type person, very much calling everybody a pedo. You know what I mean? Saying that very much everyone's that. You have that who's one of the newer kind of members of the Seven, which is the big superhero team in this universe, much like the Justice League, basically in the kind of the DC world. Another hero that you kind of see here that has joined is Sister Sage, who's the world's smartest person here, and she kind of aids to the team. A much needed kind of someone who can check Homelander, who you see in Homelander in this, and again, amazing performance from Anthony Starr
Hmm.
here, who is Homelander. I mean, I think he's one of the things that, I mean, everybody really does a fantastic job in the show, I think, but he's kind of one of the main things that really people tune into the show for, I think, of just because all the little ticks and things that he does with his face and
I
just the
mean,
little subtle.
he's
Oh,
what's held up this entire series.
yeah. I mean, just kind of like all the kind of things he does there. I mean, everyone. I mean, you have a lot of great performances in
Mhm.
this, but he's one of the really the main kind of things here. It's surprising. Has he ever been nominated for his role as Homelander?
I don't think he has, surprisingly.
Yeah, man, which is a shame because of just the way he does there. But yeah, you see that he kind of lives in this world where he's kind of mostly checked out here of things. Everybody just kind of does what he says. Nobody questions him. You see that in a scene here with the Deep and then A Train, what he tells him to do. It's just like everybody just does completely what he says and what he does.
Because he kills everyone who doesn't.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a good reason for that.
And
And it's
so, like, him getting upset about it is like, "I'm surrounded by yes men and sycophants." I'm like, "'Cause you killed everyone else that told you no."
yeah. So that's kind of the position that he's kind of put himself in now. That's made him kind of seek out another member of the team in Sister Sage there, who's the world's smartest person, who has been described as a very Ozymandias, Lex Luthor type villain here for the season, thinking 15, 30, 50 steps ahead of everyone else, especially the boys kind of here playing the game, especially the PR game, as you can see when now with Starlight, who's Annie is her real name in the show there. You see that she's trying to lead a campaign against Homelander, against Vought, against kind of a lot of these kind of crazy kind of people who are these
Mhm.
MAGA type people that you see in the show. And yeah, she's kind of especially playing the PR game against them very well of setting these people up and kind of falling into a lot of her traps there, as you see. But I'm gonna pass it to Dusk. Dusk, what are your thoughts on The Boys season 4?
Unfortunately, I found The Boys this season not to be as good as the previous seasons so far. I think there's been a steady decline in the franchise since the strong first season. Second season was less as good, but it was still fairly strong. And then I think I recall even when we reviewed the third season, I said I was hoping this season would be the last. Like, all right, season 4 is it. You got to wrap this up. You don't have. I think we're already starting to tread water with season 3, and if we don't wrap this up on season 4, it's going to start to get really fillery. And unfortunately, I've been proven right. I think before in the first couple seasons, there was a political aspect to it, of course, but it felt like they were punching both sides. It was a superheroes. What would superheroes be like if it were real life with behind a company that made them? Makes perfect sense. You understood where it was in a very nihilistic point of view. And that extended to the rest of it. Season 2 started to lean a little bit more into the politic angle, which is why people didn't as much like it as the first season, but it was tolerable enough. 3 really leaned in more into being a direct punching bag to one side or the other. And but this one just right off the bat is MAGA bad, conservatives bad, Dem is like a left good, and just none of the nuance that was in those first couple seasons are here. It's very bombastic, very bloody, and very all over the place in tone, very all over his place. Honestly, Anthony Starr is saving is like Atlas Shrugged. He is holding up this entire franchise on his shoulders. I mean, he must have a personal trainer to strengthen his back, but because he's holding it on strong. The only other person that's really holding this up is Butcher, but Butcher's not really in it. I think the biggest problem with this season is it's kind of all over the place. On the one hand, Starlight's doing her own thing. She wants to kind of attack Homelander on a political gambit and make sure that he's acute, he's convicted of murder. They kind of set it up as a Kyle Rittenhouse situation. My thought process is though, even if you won, what are you going to do? He's literally invincible. What
Mm.
I mean, how are you going to actually give him justice? He's not going to just willingly, goddamn well, he would not submit to justice, the justice system. He would not sit in jail very long. You would have to actually create a weapon to possibly eliminate and deal with him. 2, you got Huey's character who's dealing with trying to work with Butcher to figure out what he's doing, what's going on with the vice president election right now with Newman, who, in addition for her ability to kind of blow people's brains up, I guess now she's even more super powerful for some unknown reason that was not described in the previous seasons.
I think they were saying she took more V. I think they were saying.
Okay, that felt like a very much of like an ass pull
Right.
because it felt like a lot of the season, unfortunately, feels like a lot of ass pull. Frenchie, they just gave up on Frenchie for him to do and ruined the relationship he had with the budding romantic relationship with Kimiko to add a new romantic partner for this season who saw him kill another couple people, but he survived. And I'm like, I don't care. Nobody cares. There's absolutely no reason. You could have just built up and actually crescendoed what you were building up with him and Kamiko, and people would have been happy. But instead, you went in this completely different direction. Mother's Milk kind of just is around. He kind of helps plan the things, but he just doesn't feel like himself. I don't know if it's the actor or the role they've written him for, but he just doesn't quite feel like himself. I think the biggest problem with this season is the boys don't feel like the boys.
Mm.
They feel disjointed. They feel like they have to kill Soups, but not that they want to. And it feels like all these smaller little stories, side tangents, especially with Huey and his mom and his dad and that whole situation. It's like, why aren't you trying to kill Homelander? Why aren't you guys still trying to do that? You can't this needs to come to a head. This feels like a filler season, which is what I was worried about. Even with episode 4, as good as I thought, strong, at least getting a little bit back to basics with episode 4, that didn't save the previous 3 episodes,
Mm.
at least for me.
Uh, So a lot of people been talking about, like I said, this season, whether or not it's more political than we've seen in past
Mm.
seasons, or what I mean, has it gotten too political there? Which we said there's always been an undercurrent of politics in throughout the whole
Right from the
show.
beginning.
I would say maybe it is just because, like I said, it deals with more like actual political parties and then actual, running for campaigns. And then you also have the whole thing with Victoria Newman and this plot of her, who, she's trying to run and then be the VP for that, what's his name? Who's played by Jim Beaver, the actor, but I forgot the
Yeah.
character's name. But she's a very much a Vought plant who's backed by Homelander, and then, she wants to be VP, so then eventually that she can kill him, and then she can be the president, and then basically do everything that Vought,
Mhm.
wants and Homelander wants there, so she kinda wants the place there. But then if she is as invulnerable as she says she is, I mean, that kinda
She's
takes
basically
away.
on Homelander level.
I don't know why she would be that scared of Homelander then
Yeah.
anymore, but I guess he still is stronger, but I guess so he can kill her, so I don't know, but
She takes a bullet to the back of the head, like, from a sizable hand cannon, and just goes, "Really?" And acid, and just goes, "Really? All I have to do is change my wardrobe now that did absolutely nothing." And then she just, like, lets them live after they try that on her, kind of, and she sends her, like, effed up daughter after
yeah.
them.
So you kind of have that kind of going. So
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So that's kind of her thing. So there, with as far as the politics goes, there. Who I said before. I mean, I think they kind of confirmed it that she's supposed to be like an AOC stand-in. I think they kind of said that
Yeah.
before that that's her role there. So you have that. The stuff with kind of as far as Homelander goes. Him, like you said, kind of, he's surrounded with sycophants there because he kind of designed it. He built that of people like he killed everybody that kind of defied him and said no to him because of his violent outbursts. Like this is the environment that he's created that nobody can challenge him. And then now is remember at the end of last season, he has his son Ryan, and we look to see what that kind of dynamic is like. And that can he be actual capable of being a loving father? Spoiler alert, he can't.
No.
Just what I mean, just it's just really it's not his fault completely. It's just he just the way he was raised. I mean, he's just kind of incapable of doing it. He doesn't have the actual abilities to do that. But you see it kind of a lot of that kind of going with Ryan, and then Butcher trying to make amends, trying to do something good. If we remember again from last season, where he kind of took a bunch of that V that kind of caused him to get an illness, and he's got like 6 months at best to live.
Yeah,
Um,
he's got, like, a parasite in him.
Yeah, some disease that's killing him, that we're gonna probably get some more stuff about later on as we see it, especially with this last episode, kinda he blacked out for a second. But he's seeing visions of his ex-wife and, he's throwing up and he's incredibly sick. So he's trying to really make amends. He's trying to set things right with Ryan, which is the only thing of his ex-wife that he has left in this world. So he's trying to go with that. And you mentioned that the boys who are this kind of central characters of the show little bit more broken as we see because Butcher is not leading the team anymore. It's Mother's Milk, who's doing things, who's making the plans, who's designing things, who's kind of leading the missions. And Butcher's kind of, even though they keep telling them like, man, we don't want you here, get the fuck out. We don't, we don't like you anymore. You've constantly lied and lied to us. He still kind of tags along anyway. He says like, yeah, I'm still gonna kind of join the missions anyway.
He's like, "Look,
Um,
man, yeah, he lied. He's a piece of shit. He's been from the very beginning." But ironically, he's the fervor you guys still need. He's the reminder that you guys need to keep doing this, which all of you, the only reason you joined each other is you all had a reason to kill the 7. You've killed, like, half of them. A-Train's still around, and so is Homeland, and they're getting more people. It's just like, why are we fighting amongst each other when the enemy's in there? It feels very disjointed.
Yeah. Mother's Milk, who's kind of leading things there now. And then as far as like, maybe are you kind of confused about what their goals are now as far as the team? Because before it seemed like, okay, hey, the main goal is still for them to kill
Yeah.
Homelander. I think that's it. Him and then Victoria Newman are still their kind of main goals, and then the boys now are being backed by the CIA, FBI there most of the CIA of killing Victoria Newman, like, kind of getting them to kill her because they don't want her to obviously rise the political ranks there. But they discovered like, oh, she's invincible there. You have that. And much like with a lot of the other seasons, it's like a lot of it is okay, how close are they going to get to killing Homelander without really killing Homelander because he's the big thing of the show and we need to keep him
Yeah.
obviously for the other season. there. And I'm glad they're only going to do one more season of the show, not because I don't like the show, just because like I feel like there's only so long you can continue this, and so long you can make
Yeah,
it
there's so
kind of
many
boring.
times he could have killed all of them
Mm,
easily. Homelander is near unstoppable. And the one time they could have killed him last season, it for BS reasons they really didn't. But he got
yeah,
super close.
yeah, yeah. If Ryan wasn't there, they probably would have.
Oh yeah, if Ryan wasn't there, they probably actually would have.
Yeah, so they would have actually killed him there. What do you think about the two new additions to the team? Speaking about the seven, what do you think about Firecracker and then Sister Sage? What do you think about
Firecracker, I think the actress is fine. I just don't like the role they've written for her. I think she's too on the nose. Also, all the conspiracy things she talks about is just a way to insult the actual conspiracy theories that actually turned out to be true. It's just, I don't know. I just don't think she's handled too well. When you find out why she's doing what she's doing when she talks to Starlight, you're like, oh, it's just pettiness. Got it. You're not that deep of a character. Fine. Okay. And
that?
Sister Sage, I think she could work, but she feels unfortunately too often like the writer's tool to know things that she shouldn't know and curtail things in ways that otherwise wouldn't have the knowledge of to kind of get the story the way they want it. Instead of feeling like a character who's really smart, she more feels like I got the script ahead of time. And so I know how this is going to go.
She more feels like she's got what precognition or
Yeah.
mm,
And that's could work, but you have to have limits on that level of precognition, and that's not her power though. She's supposed to be super smart. That's the hard balance with a character like that. But she does unfortunately feel more like the writer's tool rather than her character in and of itself being very vastly intelligent and keeping people on their toes. And I saw some people like, oh man, she's being like such a master manipulator. She's saying some of the easiest shit you could say to anybody. It doesn't really take that someone of that modicum of intelligence to say some shit. It was the funny I was watching someone talk about the clip, with when she's talking to the Deep, who I'm actually kinda proud this season. He actually be they're trying to make him not as much of a joke as they made him in the last 2 seasons,
yeah.
especially when it comes to, the PR girl they have who just, like, basically
Ashley.
calls him yeah, she just calls him an idiot straight to his face, and he's never really fought back. He's like, "Oh, she's just being like a bitch." So Sage is like, "You're a superior being. Like, you literally could crush her." Like, all things considered, the Deep has actually very, very strong powers. He can telekinetically talk to animals. He has power over water. He can control water. That's actually really powerful.
Yeah. But you think he's just mostly been used like an Aquaman joke throughout
Yeah, he's
the.
just been used as Aquaman joke. Haha, funny.
Mm, yeah.
So hopefully, maybe they'll actually treat him a little bit more seriously and a threat again. A Train, I hope they're not doing what I think they're doing, and they're trying to make him have a redemption arc. And I'm like, no, bro, you've killed how many hundreds of people? I don't care how much you help Huey or do what you got to do. You have to die by the end of this. Like you have to.
Yeah. You don't think he can make it out, man?
I don't think he's making that out of this. I think you know what? I think they'll have it. It won't be the embarrassing death that Huey did in like issue 3 or 4, where they just like kick his head off after he doesn't remember who even Robin was because he's coked out of his mind. But now they've kind of forced their hand to the point where it's well, he might sacrifice himself to save one of the boys and die that way.
Yeah, I think that's probably. I see that probably ain't gonna go.
Maybe like say like sorry for that shit I did. Dead. Ugh.
Uh, do you think it kind of is gonna go like how last season went? Because sometimes they'll introduce like a B villain because
Yeah.
they can't get to the Homelander. So you think like
Yeah, it's a sub villain.
Firecracker will die. Sage might die. You think that's kind of gonna happen?
Sage will either die by the end of the season or by the end of 5.
Mm.
I think the thing about Sage, at least for character, I don't know. I think Firecracker will get effed up by the end of the season. That she'll probably get effed up. kind of almost like Stormbreaker, but
Stormfront.
yeah, Stormfront, kind of like Stormfront. Yeah, whatever. It's all this comic crap. Uh, so we'll see. Or who knows? She might give Homelander a BJ and he blows her brains out that way.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Is she from the comics?
No,
Okay.
none of these people at this point are from the comics.
Oh, okay.
Sister
Uh,
Sage isn't from the comics either.
ah, okay. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll do so. I think yeah, maybe I could see Sister Sage them keeping her till the next season because I think her as far as like
Yeah,
what
Sister
her
Sage will make it. I don't think Firecracker will.
yeah, I don't think she'll make it. I think she's expendable. At
She's a
all.
one and done season 4. You know what? If she does, she'll make it halfway through the next season and then bite it.
Yeah.
Um, if she doesn't die this season. What did you think about the Noir situation?
Yeah, so they have a new Black Noir, a guy, if people remember, the other
Same
orig
actor who played him before, who's played him before, but now he's playing a different character
yeah. Now he gets to use his voice and everything now.
and be annoying as shit.
Yeah, so I guess it's like this I don't even know if does he even have powers or it's
So no, or at
or
least he believes he doesn't.
okay.
Either like they say he's just an actor. He's just a regular ass actor. But he
Okay.
did smash that one guy's head in really well with a bat. Like
Yeah.
surprisingly powerfully. I'm like, sure you don't have some power?
Well, I don't know.
Um I don't know
Yeah.
what they're doing with it. People were hoping that this would be the clone Noir,
Mm,
but to kind of at least follow in the footsteps of the comic, at least in some way.
yeah.
And at this point, it's pretty much like confirmed. Like, we're not doing that. Stop hoping for that. It's not happening.
Yeah. Which I think they commented on that. It's like, yeah, we're not doing that. From the comics, yeah, that's whole storyline. So yeah, you have him who's now who's just like I guess just a regular trained actor. I guess and he's like I don't know what my motivation is as far as what this kind of goes. What am I supposed to be doing? At least to some good comedy bits. At least some kind of funny moments there where he
Yeah,
just kind of bursts
Homer's
out
like,
and
you shut up.
yeah,
Shut the fuck up. Hey, man, if you wanted Noir to be around, maybe you shouldn't have punched him in the stomach and left him for dead.
yeah.
I have a thing. I hope Noir the original Noir is not dead because that would be kind of a waste of a character if he died then.
Mhm,
But I don't know.
yeah. Well, he keeps his
You never know
memory.
with bot.
You keep in memory like he still has his katana. He's got his sword up there, and then being able
Honestly,
to
that wouldn't honestly, if that actually happened and his regenerative power restored in whatever, and he just doesn't have any memory, that would actually make some sense.
mm, yeah. And you mentioned the stuff kind of going on with the boys now. So you got Frenchie. His kind of storyline. He's in a relationship with
He's
somebody that.
worthless, fucking worthless. They didn't know what the hell to do with Frenchie, and it's a shame. I actually liked Frenchie in the first 2 seasons quite a bit, and I really liked Frenchie and
Kimiko.
Kamiko. I really liked their relationship.
Kimiko.
They're really building to like like two broken people can actually have a relationship. They're really adorable and cute with each other,
Well, they do
and
have a relationship.
they
They
do.
are.
They still do, but it was like then he just kind of like they were building to like a romantic relationship, and then this 4th season out of fucking nowhere they ruined that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, somebody showed a clip of like when they were there, of like when they kissed before, and she talked about like how that was weird because it's like they were like a family, so it's kind of weird that they
I
kind of
don't know.
kissed. So I forgot what episode that somebody pulled that from, but so you did have that. A little bit more stuff with Kimiko as far as her past, and then her from the former gang that she was a part of there because she's trying to learn to regain her voice and she's going to therapy and then she has kind of psychosomatic mutism, I guess is the term for that.
Yeah.
So it's nothing physically wrong with her.
Yeah,
It's just that
it's a mental problem. She can speak, but she can't. She mental is mental blockers.
yeah. So I don't know. Maybe hopefully I don't know, maybe you think she'll talk by the end of the season? Or,
Yeah, probably by the end of this season she'll say something, and then maybe she'll have a couple of lines by the end of 5.
yeah. So did you like the subplot with her? What was going on? Her
I
trying
mean,
to find
she's interesting. I mean, I always like Kamiko, so that's some development. Hey, some development is better than no development, which a lot of the boys are going through right now.
Yeah. I feel like at all the boy I mean, Huey's kinda remained kinda a little stagnant as far as that
Yeah, he
goes.
was been stagnant for the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I just feel like, okay, he was always a good guy. He had some anger problems there. I mean, of course, his girlfriend got murdered by the Supes in there, but then here it's like, okay, I mean, it didn't seem like he was even with his girlfriend being murdered, he wasn't like that super like the like Mother's Milk or even Butcher of like, I'm gonna really I really hate superheroes. I want to kill all the superheroes. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? He just kind of was like, yeah, I just kind of want revenge for this one thing that this one guy did, and I
He
want
hasn't
justice.
gotten that.
Yeah, and obviously he wants justice. You know what I mean? Of like catching Vought and doing that, but it's just like, yeah,
He
I
sure
mean,
doesn't act like it.
but you have some stuff here a little bit. He finally meets his mother after all these years and kind of that after she's been absent. Now she's like the Avon lady, except she sells bot products. There
Yeah,
with
and
creams.
she's gonna betray him by the end of the season, and she's just a plant to get in with the boys to try and do this or to screw over Huey so that she can get I mean, nothing it's not gonna end well. It's not gonna end well at all, and it's pretty much the setup for that.
Yeah. Um. So you have that kind of going on. I did like a little bit of stuff he was kind of going to with him and Starlight and kind of their relationship and their dynamic and when he had to take V and why he felt like he had to take V. I thought that was kind of interesting. I thought that was a little good with him there.
That's
Um,
pretty much it, really.
yeah, a little bit with it. I thought that was pretty interesting for him there. But I mean, with kind of like I said, with some of the newer people that you have, like Firecracker with her kind of thing going on. Um, I don't know. I mean, Stormfront. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because that actress did such a great job as Stormfront, and she was really great at how she played that role. That's like, okay, now we're getting like
It's just Stormfront 2.
Stormfront, like diet Stormfront.
Yeah, Diet Stormfront, but Stormfront in the original comic was, a guy,
Yeah,
but the actress played her iteration of that character very, very well to the point where I didn't really mind it because they did it well, and then she got, like, off-screen died.
yeah. So you kind of have that. Even though I think the actress is good, but Valerie Curry, I think
Oh,
she's
she's
very
good.
I think she's good, and it's the new version of the Nazi. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Now the Nazi has a podcast. You know what I mean? So you kind of got that going on. So I like that. I don't mind that. And maybe she'll develop. She'll do some more good stuff. Maybe later on in the season. Sister Sage, I like. I like to see what maybe more what she has to kind of get up to. Maybe what's her grand plan. You know what I mean, and what she's kind of up to as far as that. And then a reveal about how her powers work, I thought was pretty interesting. I thought that was kind of pretty in a boy's way, very boys disgusting of like the fact that she says like she's a super genius because her brain regenerates all the time. You know what I mean? People's brains they stop developing at like 25, but her brain keeps regenerating over and over and over again. It's how she can process all this information. And then she gives herself a lobotomy to I guess, tolerate being around people who aren't as intelligent, as her and, being able to think so far ahead. So I thought that was kind of an interesting boy's take on that, of being a super genius. When it comes to the violence and blood of the show, what do you think about that? Still up to your, quality
I
there?
think it's fine, but nothing really shocking, if I'm gonna be honest. Nothing we haven't already seen before.
Nothing can shock you anymore with the show, you
I
don't think?
mean, season 1 did such a good job of doing something of so many abhorrent things, and season 2 as well, that I kinda you're like, "Oh, another person just, like, got thrown into a well. Oh, okay."
Mm.
You're like, I've seen that." You kinda desensitized me, it's your fault.
Yeah. I mean, that scene with Homelander at the Vought facility, I thought that was
Yes, one at a time. My favorite moment from that scene is if you notice in the background, one of the people, a scientist in the background, because he gives them cake, in the background, if you notice, he's actually eating more cake in the background before that's actually a subtle little thing, is that he's, like, hungrily eating more because he knows he's next. So he's like, "Well, might as well eat as much as I can."
Yeah. I guess, hey, if you're guess why not, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
he knows he's gonna be probably next to last, so he's like, "Alright, I have my cake, go ahead."
yeah. And you learn more about his backstory and, why he is so fucked up again, about that.
He's a test tube baby.
Yeah. That's too, baby. Yeah. So, so far, these 4 episodes, you wanna give it a rating or you wanna wait till, done with the rest of the season?
Uh, so far, I think it's hard. I'm not enjoying it too much so far, but a season is made of its whole of the incomplete aspect of the season. But so far, I'm gonna be honest. This is kind of a low. This is like a low rental.
Mhm. Low rental. Wow. For me right now, I mean, there's 4 more episodes to go. It's an 8-episode season. Um, have to see how things kinda develop a little bit more, but, right now, I enjoy them. I think they're pretty solid. I'd kinda give it more of a tune in, for
Mm,
me, for these first, 4 seasons. I mean, 4 episodes here. Do I think this is the strongest so far for me of a boys season? I wouldn't say so. I think 3 or 2 had a better start, I think, for me, compared to these seasons compared to this season, season 4. But we'll see. I mean, a lot of still moving parts. We haven't even mentioned Jeffrey D. Morgan, who comes in this season as well as another person working with Butcher, one of Butcher's allies. And he wants to, use Ryan for his own needs. It's like, hey, he's the only guy that can take on Homelander. We got to train him. We got to raise him. Things like that. And Butcher's hard against that, and so he wants to stop him. So we'll see
The
where that kind of goes.
the
And
thing I'll say about Ryan is pretty much this season, at least so far, has dictated that no matter what happens, Ryan will not be Homelander.
mm,
Just from the very nature of him, he was raised too long with his mother.
mm,
His mother's instilled too much good in him to the point where even if he loses it, he's not a psycho or sociopath.
mm. Yeah.
He can get angry, but
Yeah.
he does seem to care.
Yeah. Because he's emotional, but when he turns that guy into spaghetti,
Yeah,
uh
and they're like, because the guy's like, "Hey, don't hold back next time," and he's like, okay."
well, he didn't mean not hold
No,
back.
I know he didn't mean that. No, Homelander was the one who was like, "Do it."
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think
Uh,
he I think he meant, like, a little harder, not
yeah.
against the wall dead.
But, yeah. Yeah. So you gave it a rental. You gave it kind of low stream it,
Yeah, low stream it.
and then I gave it kind of a tune in for boys season 4 so far. We're gonna be checking back in once the season is done. Season 4, so 4 more episodes to go for the boys season 4.